Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're going to be making a scraper for your barbecue grate. Well, you hear it all the time. Every once in a while it comes up in the news, the dangers of a barbecue brush, where little metal fibers have come off that brush, gotten onto the grill, that fiber gets into your food, and then it gets lodged in somebody's throat. Fair enough, we hear it all the time. But I saw a product in a store the other day where they had a wooden scraper that they used. It almost looked like a little mini canoe paddle. And I thought that was a pretty clever idea. And then I said to myself, I said, you could make one of those. And then I thought, what a great show idea. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to start off with a chunk of oak. Well, here we have a chunk of oak, and it's left over from another project that I've worked on. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to joint one edge to get a flat surface to work with. And once we get that done, we're going to rip this into a length or a width rather of 4 3/4 of an inch. Once we get that done, we're going to think about the thickness of our piece. But for now, joint the one edge and rip it to 4 3/4. Well, now that we have the width cut, we're going to work on the thickness. So I'm going to head over to the bandsaw, I'm going to resaw this piece, and then we're going to take it to the thickness planer and bring it down to a final thickness of 3/4 of an inch. We've got the board at 4 3/4 wide by 3/4 thick, and the last thing to do here at this point is to cut it into a 20-inch length. So now you have your rough shape and your final dimensions kind of thing for your grill scraper. And just to reiterate, 4 3/4 wide, 20 inches long, and 3/4 of an inch thick. So we're going to put these aside now, and what you're going to want is to get a piece of 1/4 inch hardboard, 1/8 inch hardboard, whatever you have on hand, and cut them to the same dimensions here of 4 3/4 by 20. And once you get that done, we're going to head over to the bench and draw out a template. Well, we have our 1/4 inch hardboard, and it's time to make the template. And we're going to start with a few simple markings here, and that will be the blade of the scraper, which we're going to do at this end, and the handle, which will be at this end. So you want to put a mark on your hardboard at 8 inches in from the one end for your blade. Your blade on this, all in all, is 8 inches long. So we're just going to place a little mark there, and then using our square, we're just going to mark off where our blade is at our 8 inch mark. Now our handle at this end is 3.5 inches in from the end. So we'll do the exact same thing. This isn't rocket science here. We've got our clamp a little bit in the way, so we'll just move that a touch. And mark at 3.5 inches. And again with our square it off and place a line there to indicate where our handle ends. Now that we have our blade and our handle length established, we need our center shaft sort of thing, which will be right along here, and we'd like to have that at 2 inches wide. Now if this is 4 3/4 of an inch, take away your 2 inches, that'll give you 2 3/4, divide that by a half, that'll give you 1 3/8, and that is the measurement that you're going to mark from each edge. So right here at 1 3/8, we'll just unattach this, spin it around, and clamp it in there again. And give ourselves another mark at 1 3/8, just like that. And we should have, we'll just double check, and we do have 2 inches here, which is what we want. So now we have that handle. Now from there we just need to clean it up a little bit, and with cleaning that up we're going to round off these inside curves. Now there is no specific measurement here for these curves. You can do whatever you wish, whatever you like. And I'm just using a plastic lid from a container that I have here. And I'm just joining up the lines from the edge of our handle to the edge of our shaft in the middle. And just using the edge of this container to draw the little line there. If you really need a measurement and you want to be specific on it, well, let's see, this is 4 1/8 across. So if that makes you happy to have that measurement, then by all means find something with that dimension. But any kind of lid, or even if you want to use a compass, use a compass. But we're not getting into high fine woodworking here. This isn't technical. It's just a simple little round over to help us out here. Now that we have that done, we need to mark at this end for where our slope will end. This is our blade. We have a slope. This is actually sharpened to a point. So let's mark where the slope is going to begin. Well, here we have the end of our template where our blade is, and we need to put a horizontal mark here at 2 1/4 inches. So at the 2 1/4 mark, we're just gonna draw a line across there, and that is where our chisel point of this blade is going to start. Now, from here it's as simple as taking it to the scroll saw and just cutting out these side sections here that we marked for the shaft of our scraper. So let's cut these out, and then I'll come back to you and show you the finished template here. Well, before we can call this template finished, we need to make one more small section for marking. And I'm going to explain it in just a minute, but we need to mark on one side of this handle. This is the handle section. Just on one side, and you can pick which side you want, a mark at 3/8 of an inch. And we'll just mark that right across there like that. Now, what this represents is half of our handle thickness. And there is some contouring that happens in this handle part, so we just need to make a few marks. So this represents the center line of our handle, or our entire scraper. So in the middle section, the final dimension or thickness is going to be 1/2 of an inch. So we're going to place another line here at 1/8, just like that. Now, from here, we need to sort of contour or shape this handle, and I'm not too concerned about how pretty it is, but we're just going to do it freehand, just like this, and we're going to round this over, I think something like that. There we go. And then we're going to bring it down here, just like that. And you can see where this is the end of the mark for the handle here. So we know where to stop, but we can carry it on a little further down. Now, I don't know how well the camera translates those markings that I've just done, but let me cut it out and then I can show you the whole template, and we'll mark one out and I'll show you how this template goes about working. And here we have our finished cut template, and you can see here that, or hopefully you can see here, I've cut a little notch here for marking where our blade starts. But all you're going to do is you're going to line up your template here with your stock, because they're the same size, and once you get it lined up, hold it in place, and we're going to mark the contours of our center handles here, just like this. The other mark that we're going to place is in this notch here. We're going to just put a little mark just like that, and that will give us the place where, oh, my pencil wasn't out far enough, so that's okay. We'll put the template back in, extend the pencil out a little more, and draw it in place. And there we go, now we've got our mark. And with a square, we're just going to mark across here where this goes. Now you may be wondering, what about that fancy little contour that you did there? Well, that is not for this surface. That is actually for this surface. And all you're going to do is take this template, line it up with the edge and the end of our piece here, and we're going to mark the contours here like this. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Line it up, and once you get it lined up, just like that, hold it in place, and we're going to mark this contour right here and this inside contour right here. Now those are the side profile of our handle, just like that. Now we still need to mark our taper for here. So with that mark that you placed with your template, you want to mark the center of your board, which will be 3/8 of an inch, half of 3/4, 3/8 of an inch, just like that. And then it's as simple as joining the two lines up. So from the corner marked there to the end where you just mark the center, like that, and on this side as well. Well, now that you have those lines marked, it's time to shape them. And we want to shape these side profiles first. So the first thing we're going to do is head over to the belt sander. Well, the first thing that we're going to want to do is shape the chisel end. And you may be thinking, well, why wouldn't you cut the side contours here of this handle first? You want as much material as you can to sit on the platform of the sander to support your piece while you're sanding this here. There are more than one ways to do this. You can do this on a table saw if you like. You can do it on a band saw. I just chose the belt sander because it's the easiest at this point for this project. So without further ado, let's shape this chisel point. with that, we have the chisel ends done. Now you can see here that I'm making two. I'm making one for myself and one for a gift. And I tried two different methods. One was strictly on the sander, and the other was I rough cut it on the bandsaw and then finished it on the sander. And let me tell you, that's the better way to go. A lot less wear and tear on your sanding belt, and you know what, you get some cleaner results. So now that we've got this chisel end done, remember that we did this handle contour here. And the first thing we're going to do is a round over on both of these ends, probably going to be a 3/8 of an inch round over, and we're going to do that over at the router table. Now we have that top contour rounded over and it's not so sharp in our hands. Now we're going to take care of that contour that we drew here on this side. And for that, we're going to use the top edge of our belt sander here, and we're just going to run it along until we get a nice little concave section here, which just helps us get a better grip. It's not really necessary. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But I think it'll help in being able to hang on to the handle of this while cleaning your grill. Well, I'll just show you that contour, and it's really nothing special, but it is just enough to give a nice little surface there to grip. So the next thing that you want to do is take this thing over to the scroll saw or to the bandsaw and cut out those marks that we drew on here earlier to give your center shaft of your grill scraper. And now that you have that shape cut, there's only one more thing to do as far as here in the shop and the construction of this, and that is, remember that 3/8 round over bit? Round off the inside of these on both sides and make it a little softer so that, you know, you don't have that sharp edge on your hand while you're using it. Now that you've got that done, give the whole piece a really good sanding, and then you want to give it a couple coats of mineral oil, just letting it soak in. Now, you may be looking at this and saying, it's not much of a barbecue grill scraper, but that's because you haven't set the grooves in it yet that will be custom to your barbecue. And for that, once you've got the mineral oil on it, etc., then we can head to the grill, and I'll show you how to set this up for use. Well, we're here at the grill, and you want to get the grill hot. What we need to do is burn grooves that coincide with our barbecue grates into our scraper. So I've got this up just over 400 degrees, and what we're going to do is place our scraper onto our grill and use firm pressure and run it slowly back and forth here across the grill. Now, all we're really doing is burning a little bit into the end to give us some grooves. So line it up, and like I said, firm pressure. There we go, there's the grooves I started.
firm pressure, and you are going to burn it a bit, but that's the whole purpose. So we're just going to burn these grooves in, and it's not a fast process, and you're going to burn them in one side and one side only. And then once you're done with that, you'll have these permanent grooves that will be into the one side of the scraper, and that is what you're going to line up when you are scraping the grill to take all of the residue off of the grill by scraping it. And I've got 2 coats of mineral oil on this scraper, and it's changed the color quite a bit, but it'll also help to seal it. So I'm going to continue to burn this in. You guys can do the same with yours. This is the way you're going to go about doing it. And once you get those grooves burned in, you're ready to go to use this scraper every time when you're cleaning your grills. So burn those grooves in, guys. I've switched up to a different section of the grill. The other one cooled off a bit on me from transferring the heat into the wood. And we're just going to carry on like this until we get those grooves firmly planted in there. Let me just show you. Here we are. Hopefully you can see that. We're starting to get them burned in. You can actually feel them now. And the more we burn them in, the better it's going to be. It's not going to be instant. It does take some time. So be patient, burn them in, and to clean it off, just give it a wipe.
And there you have it. A barbecue grill scraper. Couple things here, guys. I had the grill just over 400 to burn those initial grooves in. I would actually go higher than that to get a really good burn. I would have preferred 500-600. So I will be reburning that one. Also, what I've noticed that my grill has some cross sections in the grates that actually interfere with the use of this brush, but I'm still going to use it. I think it'll still do a good job, but it will work better if your grill has straight grooves or straight bars or whatever you want to call them on the grill without the crossbar interference. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that it won't work. It just means that it'll work better with, well, one that actually has those rails that go end to end or front to back, and you can carry on from there with cleaning your grill. The more you burn it in, the better it works. For the sake of the video, I didn't burn it in very much, but that was strictly a time-related issue of trying to get it done, in today's case, before the rain hit. But either way, guys, it's a barbecue grill scraper. A little safer way to do it than if you were to use the wire brushes. Avoids that issue of the metal fibers getting caught in your throat. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this week's project. I hope you've enjoyed the show and that you're going to give it a try yourself. And I also hope that you're going to join me again next week for yet another woodworking video. Well, hey there, guys, and welcome back. On this week's show? Oh man, it starts already. One moment.